Hello everyone, I am Pavan Choudary and I would like to share with you what I see are the economic, moral and social fallouts of Trump's directives so far. President Trump began his second term on January 20th, 2025 and he has come out with more than 50 directives. What will be the economic, moral and social fallout of these? Let us look at that and also make David Ricardo and Alexis de Tocqueville weigh in on the scene. The first economic big decision which Trump is taking and is threatening to take is tariffs. Raising tariffs to a level of reciprocity or to an even higher level. This is not happening in the world for the first time. If we go to 19th century Britain, something very similar happened. The world was divided in UK, in Britain, in two camps, the landed aristocracy and the new industrialists who were the emerging capitalist class. And the backdrop was food grains. Food grains formed a very significant component of the total expenditure of any household. And the prices of food grains, because of growing population, were going up, which is when the industrialists started importing grain, which was made available to the residents of the country at a much lower price. This hurt the profits and the sale of the landed aristocracy. They were powerful people. They reached the parliament and passed the Corn Laws. The Corn Laws raised tariffs on imports of these grains to a very high level. The imports dwindled and finally stopped. However, the prices of food grains kept on going up. Slowly their quality was also falling and the people were finding this a back-breaking economic burden. There were a lot of demonstrations, petitions, etc., which finally made David Ricardo, who was the leading economist of those times, to intervene in the parliament and tirelessly campaign for removal of Corn Laws. Finally, the Corn Laws were repealed, and food grains could now be imported freely. This has not only happened 125 years ago, but also as early or as late as 1930 in USA, when to bring in some protectionism, the Smoot-Hawley Act was passed. This act during Depression raised the tariffs on 20,000 products. And finally, it was also counterproductive because America's exports from 1930 to 1933 fell by 61%. And people who were dependent on exports like farmers, etc., suffered badly. So this has happened before, it's happening again. There might be a glimmer of hope, I'll come to that. But we need to learn from what history teaches us. Moral fallout. The Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which prohibits American citizens or businesses to give bribes in foreign countries has been suspended by Donald Trump for 6 months. From his utterances, it seems that the main target for this is China. Because of China, he has to go in for this suspension. As China's Belt and Road Initiative, it is said, is moving unrestrained and easily acquiring ports, airports, mines, energy infrastructure, etc., because it is not constrained by any Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. It can bribe at will. Chinese businesses, etc., can bribe at will. This is the main reason why it is said that Trump is coming with this suspension. Also, the lobbies of businesses many a time are rightfully complaining about excessive intervention through this act, over expansive nature of this act. All that should be surely corrected. However, at the same time, such acts are the only beacons of hope in the world today. If everybody will recklessly and unabashedly start bribing, then very soon it will be a jungle raj. And the people who will be hit will be the common man. So, while there is a good point that the excessive nature of this act should be curbed, the fact that it should be suspended or repealed after review requires a lot of thought before a country like America, which has been the bastion of moral acts in this space, should move and rescind it. The third fallout is social. Trump's directives are going anti-diversity, anti-inclusion, anti-immigration, and anti-aid. This is where Tocqueville comes in. Alexis de Tocqueville was a French foreign minister in the 1830s, and he was a keen observer of American democracy. He wrote a very famous book on democracy in America, and he says that there is a possibility of the tyranny of the majority. However, he says that courts will protect the democracy in such a situation. Courts will be the institutional safeguards, and that is happening. The revoking of the birthright of citizenship has been blocked by the courts. Courts are challenging the scope of presidential power. This is one of the bulwarks against any overzealous reform. There are other bulwarks also. The ideology of liberalization and free trade, the doctrine of free trade, globalization, the ideology of equality and fraternity has sunk in too deep. The world has become too integrated, and there are voices coming in opposition or in denial of these anti-diversity moves. McKinsey, as you know, has already proclaimed that we will not go for we will not abide by the anti-diversity, anti-inclusion directives of the government. Some environmentalists are also speaking up. Tocqueville had spoken about this also, that there are groups in the NGO space, in the voluntary space, which are also acquiring strong voices. Regarding aid, it is surely very wrong for aid to interfere in the political processes of other countries, as it is doing. However, that doesn't mean that the aid bucket, that you throw the baby with the bathwater as far as aid is concerned. Because aid also saves millions of lives during pandemics, from HIV, from drought, from floods. And if these lives are not saved, then there will be greater tensions in the geopolitical space. There will be more and more pressure of migration, there will be more and more pressure of people turning to crime and so on. Also, China may come in the space which is vacated in aid by US, and it is already doing so to some countries where, for example, US aid will no longer be available. China is spotting opportunities of geopolitical diplomacy and stepping in. So what should countries do in such an environment? First of all, countries like India and every country which is ambitious and progressive should improve our ecosystems for business, reduce corruption. The world is very integrated. Earlier it used to be said, it is the economy stupid. We have to now understand it is the ecosystem stupid. The global ecosystem also needs to be tapped, even if it is reforming or changing in some ways. We have to find new trading partners for that, who will continue to think like us in multilateral ways. And we also need to improve the infrastructure and quality of life in our own country, so that when we invite businesses, we can say it is easy to do business in India, and it is also good to live in India. The quality of life also needs to be improved. So where is the ray of hope? From an idealist lens, I hope what Trump is doing is posturing. I hope he is posturing on tariffs, because he would surely know that tariffs can be counterproductive. They can inflame inflation. But he is threatening these tariffs so that every country reduces their tariffs. And if that is so, that is a great move. This will liberalize the economic landscape further. Globalization will grow. And some signals do come that this might be a posture, because with some of their neighbors, US, threatened huge increase in tariffs. However, when the neighboring country moved a strong security force towards its border to check smuggling of fentanyl, the tariffs were not immediately imposed. They were suspended. On the moral side also, the suspension of the FCPA, I hope it is a call for other countries to enact such laws. And such laws are there in several countries. Even India in 2011 brought in an act to prevent bribery of foreign officials. So many countries have a progressive outlook, and perhaps they might clean up their systems by the threat which Trump is holding. If that is so, Trump will be a big reformer, and I hope that is so and that comes true soon.